Okay, what do you think child labor is?
I think it's really young children working in um, bad conditions that they shouldn't be working in for little to no pay.
Do you think child labor is present in the United States or just foreign countries?
I think it's definitely present in the United States, but I feel like it's more known and like more talked about in foreign countries.
What do you think child labor is?
I think child labor, well, when I hear it, I think it's like just children that are being overworked or underage that aren't old enough to work yet.
What words come to mind when you think of child labor?
Sweatshops, China, shoe factories.
Do you think child labor exists here in America still?
Somewhat. I think kids are overworked, but not as bad as it used to be.
Child labor is work that harms children or keeps them from attending school. Around the world and in the US, growing gaps between rich and poor in recent decades have forced millions of young children out of school and into work. Child labor involves at least one of the following characteristics: violates a nation's minimum age laws, threatens children's physical, mental, or emotional well-being, involves intolerable abuse such as child slavery, child trafficking, debt bondage, forced labor, or illicit activities, prevents children from going to school, uses children to undermine labor standards. Of an estimated 215 million child laborers around the globe, approximately 114 million, 53%, are in Asia and the Pacific, 14 million, 7%, live in Latin America, and 65 million, 30%, live in sub-Saharan Africa. Child labor can be found in nearly every industry. An estimated 60% of child labor occurs in agriculture, fishing, hunting, and forestry. Children have been found harvesting bananas in Ecuador, cotton in Egypt and Benin, cutting flowers in Colombia, oranges in Brazil, cocoa in the Ivory Coast, tea in Argentina, fruits and vegetables in the United States. Children in commercial agriculture can face long hours and extreme temperatures, health risks from pesticides, little or no pay, and inadequate food and sanitation. About 14 million children are estimated to be directly involved in manufacturing goods, which include carpets from India, Pakistan, Egypt, clothing sewn in Bangladesh, footwear made in India and the Philippines, glass and bricks made in India, fireworks made in China, the Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, India, and Peru, and surgical instruments made in Pakistan. Child laborers suffer extremely high illness and injury rates in underground mines, open cast mines, and quarries. Children as young as 6 or 7 years old break up rocks and wash, sieve, and carry ore. 9-year-olds work underground setting explosives and carry loads. Children work in a range of mining operations including gold in Colombia, charcoal in Brazil and El Salvador, chrome in Zimbabwe, diamonds in Cote d'Ivoire, emeralds in Colombia, and coal in Mongolia. Child labor persists even though laws and standards to eliminate it exist. Current cases of global child labor are similar to its causes in the US 100 years ago, including poverty, limited access to education, repression of workers' rights, and limited prohibitions on child labor. Poor children and their families may rely upon child labor in order to improve their chance of attaining basic necessities. More than 1/4 of the world's people live in extreme poverty, according to a 2005 UN statistics. The intensified poverty in parts of Africa, Asia, and Latin America causes many children there to become child laborers. In 2006, approximately 75 million children were not in school, limiting future opportunities for the children in their community. A 2009 report by the United Nations estimated that achieving universal education for the world's children will cost $10 to $30 billion, about 0.7% to 2.0% of the annual cost of global military spending. Working conditions that are safe and healthy for adults may not be safe and healthy for children because of their physical differences. Factors that may increase the health, safety, and developmental risk factors for children include rapid skeletal growth, development of organs and tissues, greater risk of hearing loss, developing ability to assess risk, greater need for food and rest, higher chemical rates, a smaller size, and lower heat tolerances. 1/4 of economically active children suffer injuries or illnesses while working, according to an International Labor Organization survey of 26 countries. Each year, 2.7 million healthy years of life are lost due to child labor, especially in agriculture. Many of the industries that employ large numbers of young workers in the United States have higher than average injury rates for workers of all ages, such as grocery stores, hospitals, nursing homes, and agriculture. Long hours of work on a regular basis can harm children's social and educational development. U.S. adolescents who work more than 20 hours per week have reported more problem behaviors such as aggression, misconduct, or substance abuse, and sleep deprivation and related problems such as falling asleep in school. They are more likely to drop out of school and complete fewer months of higher education. U.S. citizens are linked to the international problem of child labor in part through our trade relationships with other countries. In 2010, the U.S. Department of Labor issued a report entitled List of Goods Produced by Child Labor or Forced Labor, which lists 120 products from 70 countries that have been documented to involve the use of child labor or forced labor. A few examples of commodities imported to the U.S. that have been linked to child labor in recent years include cut flowers from Colombia, coffee from Guatemala, Kenya, and other countries, vanilla from Madagascar, shrimp from Thailand, cashews from India, and bananas from Ecuador.
If you knew which companies use children to make their products, would you still buy their products?
Personally, I wouldn't, and I think that's why companies don't make it obvious, is because if people knew how they came up with their products, I feel like their sales would go down.
As a consumer, you have a powerful voice. You can choose which products to buy and not to buy. In order to help end child labor, it's always good to research what products you're going to buy. Make sure they're part of the Fair Trade Alliance. The Fair Trade Alliance ensures that no child is used in making these products and that everyone gets paid equally. Another way to help end child labor is to visit websites like endchildlabor.org. You can donate to ILECL on the website, which is International Initiative to End Child Labor. Donating to them helps them promote ending the child labor. You can subscribe to them weekly and get their newspaper online about what's going on and how you can help end child labor.